If you notice, we're skipping a couple of the worksheets in your workbook. Don't worry about that. That's fine. You don't have to turn those in. Um, we're starting with measures of central tendency. And that sounds like a big word for something that I know you've all been shown before. We're finding the mean, median, mode, and range. Those are the measures of central tendency. The mean is the average, which means you find the total of all the numbers in a set of data, and you divide that by the amount of data. And I know you've all done that before. You add up all the numbers and you divide by how many there are. The median is the middle. What number is right in the middle of your set of data? Now, it doesn't matter how widespread your data is and how close it is to one end or the other. It's just the number that's in the middle. And the mode stands for what occurs most often. You can have more than one mode. If I was looking at test grades and 2 students scored 78 and 2 students scored 85, then those would both be my mode. If every score occurred just once, then there is no mode. But that would be the only time that you would have no mode, is if every piece of data occurred the same number of times. And the range is the highest number minus the lowest number. Now, in order to find the median, the mode, and the range, you need to put your data in order, usually from highest to lowest. If you prefer lowest to highest, it really doesn't matter, as long as you have it in order. And it's not always going to be given to you in any specific order. So that's what you should do first. If you're only finding the mean, then you probably don't have to put it in order. But if you're finding all of them, you might as well start by putting the numbers in order so that you don't forget. These in order. I have 32, and then a 35, 40, 42, 78, 78, 85, and 98. Getting my handy calculator, if we add these up and divide by 8, our mean, and I did this beforehand on the calculator, so that comes out to be 61. That's the only one you should need a calculator. The median is in the middle. Actually, our middle is right there. There's no number there. take the two numbers in the middle, and this happens whenever you have an even number of data. So take the two in the middle, and you're just going to average them together. So if we add those together, we get 120. We're going to divide that by 2, and that gives us 60. So the median is 60. Now, there is no 60 in our data, but that's okay. What falls right in the middle of all of our data is 60. The next thing that we need to find is the mode. The mode is what occurs most often. Well, the only thing that occurs more than once is 78. So the mode is 78. And the last thing we want to find is the range. And once you have them in order, 98 was the highest number, and I'm going to subtract the lowest number, which was 32. And that gives me a range of 66. And that's all you have to do. This first section doesn't normally give students too much difficulty. There are some things on your worksheet for this section that I want to tell you before you get started on the worksheets. On the worksheets for this section, the first part asks you to do what I just did. Just remember, I do want to see your work. Show as much work as I did. You can show for the mean, you can show what the sum is and what you divided by. But you're probably going to use a calculator for that, and that's fine. But show me what you put in the calculator. You will have to put the numbers in order. Just put that on your paper. If there's not room to do the problems on the worksheet, you can always put them on notebook paper and just send me a picture of that. Starting with number 4, they give you a table right down here about the minimum hourly wage in different states. Most of the questions about that are fairly straightforward. They do ask you to find a percent increase. I went over that on one of the previous videos. Remember, percent increase is the difference divided by the original, what it was to begin with, before it either increased or decreased. Then they give you another table, and this is packages sold on different months. And I think you should be able to answer those without too much difficulty. If you have questions, either come to my office hours online or email me, and I'll be glad to help you. One thing, I think I mentioned this in one of the first videos that I did. When you see that symbol in all of these problems, that means to round to the nearest tenth. That is stated in the fine print at the very beginning of the workbook. But that's what that means, unless it's stated otherwise. For instance, in one place, well, problem 5A, right underneath that chart, there's an asterisk and it says round to the nearest package. So the asterisk just by itself means to round to the nearest tenth. If there's an asterisk with something after it, you round to what it tells you to round to. But that's what that means on these worksheets. When you get to page 51, there is a list of how chemistry grades are figured for 2 different chemistry classes. That's not the normal way of grading. Follow the plan that is set out in that problem. You are going to have to order the numbers, put them from highest to lowest. It starts off by saying, if you make the same grade as the average in a class, you've earned a C. Okay? Well, that's not always true. If everyone got real high grades, the average might be higher than what you'd usually think. So use the grading scale that's outlined and just answer the questions that are asked. Part D in that question says, do you think this kind of grading is fair? Why or why not? I would like a good answer to that. If you like the way of grading because you would have a good grade, then explain that to me. If you don't like it, explain to me why you wouldn't like it. And I think that's all I have to say about the worksheets. The next video, there is a page for you to take notes on that I will include right next to the video. It would probably be a good idea if you made a copy of that before you watch the video. It would be helpful.